Marcus Thompson walked through the busy Chicago O'Hare Airport, with his carry-on bag rolling behind him. He wore a crisp navy blue suit with a white shirt and polished black shoes. His tie was perfectly straight. He had just finished 3 days at a business conference and was ready to go home. The airport was crowded that Tuesday afternoon. People rushed in every direction. Some pulled large suitcases. Others carried coffee cups and stared at their phones. Children ran past while parents called after them. The announcement system kept making calls for different flights. Marcus checked his watch. He had plenty of time. His flight to Atlanta was not leaving for another 45 minutes. He walked down the wide corridor past shops selling magazines, candy, and travel pillows. The smell of fresh pizza mixed with coffee in the air. When he reached Gate 17, Marcus saw a line forming. A sign above the desk said first class boarding. He had paid extra for first class this time. After 3 long days of meetings and presentations, he wanted to relax on the flight home. He deserved the extra legroom and the comfortable seat. Marcus got in line behind 2 other passengers. A woman in front wore expensive jewelry and held a designer handbag. A man in front of her typed on his phone. Both looked relaxed and ready to board. Behind the desk stood a gate agent. Her name tag said Karen Whitley. She had blonde hair pulled back in a tight ponytail. Her uniform was neat and pressed. She scanned boarding passes and smiled at each passenger as they walked through. Marcus waited patiently. He set his bag beside him and pulled out his boarding pass from his jacket pocket. The paper felt smooth in his hands. He looked at it to make sure everything was correct. Seat 2A, first class. Everything was in order. The line moved forward. The woman with the designer bag went through without any problems. Karen smiled and wished her a pleasant flight. The man with the phone went next. Karen barely looked at his boarding pass before waving him through. Now it was Marcus's turn. He stepped forward with a friendly smile. He held out his boarding pass ready to hand it over, but Karen did not smile back. Instead, she looked at Marcus from head to toe. Her eyes moved slowly from his face down to his shoes and back up again. Her friendly expression changed. Her mouth formed a thin line. "Excuse me," Karen said loudly. Her voice carried across the gate area. Several people turned to look. "This line is for first-class passengers only." Marcus felt his smile fade. He glanced at the sign above them. It clearly said first-class boarding. He was in the right place. "Yes, I know," Marcus said calmly. "I have a first-class ticket." He held up his boarding pass again. Karen's eyes narrowed. She did not reach for the boarding pass. "Are you sure you're in the right line? Economy boarding will begin in a few minutes. You might want to check your ticket." Other passengers waiting behind Marcus started to notice. An older woman whispered something to her husband. A young man pulled out his phone. Marcus felt their eyes on him. Heat rose to his face, but he kept his voice steady. "I'm certain," Marcus said. He kept his hand extended with the boarding pass. "This is my boarding pass for seat 2A first class." Karen finally took the boarding pass from his hand. She held it far from her face, studying it like it might be fake. She turned it over. She held it up to the light. She looked at it for much longer than she had looked at the other passengers' passes. Karen said. She scanned the barcode. The computer beeped. She frowned at her screen. Marcus waited. This should have taken 5 seconds. Instead, a whole minute passed. Then another. The people behind him shifted their feet. "Someone cleared their throat. Is there a problem?" Marcus asked. He tried to keep his voice pleasant, but frustration crept in around the edges. "I'm just making sure everything is correct," Karen said. She clicked her mouse several times. She typed something on her keyboard. "We have to be careful, you know. A lot of people try to sneak into first class. They print fake boarding passes or try to use someone else's ticket." Marcus's jaw tightened. "I assure you, this is my ticket. I purchased it myself 3 days ago." Karen finally looked up from her computer. "Can I see your ID, please?" "Of course." Marcus pulled out his wallet. He showed her his driver's license. Karen took the license and compared it to the boarding pass. She looked back and forth between the two at least 5 times. Then she looked at Marcus's face, then at the license, then at his face again. "This says Marcus Thompson," Karen said. "Yes, that's my name." "And you're flying first class?" "Yes, as my boarding pass clearly shows." Karen handed back his license but kept holding his boarding pass. "It just seems unusual. How did you afford a first-class ticket?" The question hung in the air like smoke. Marcus could not believe what he was hearing. Behind him, he heard someone gasp. The young man with the phone definitely had it pointed at them now. "I don't see how that's relevant," Marcus said. His voice was calm, but inside he felt anger building. "I paid for my ticket just like everyone else." "I'm just asking," Karen said. She crossed her arms. "First-class tickets are very expensive. I'm just surprised, that's all." "Surprised by what exactly?" Marcus asked. He knew the answer. He had lived this moment before in different forms. In stores where security followed him. In restaurants where hosts claimed they had no tables even when he could see empty ones. In cabs that drove past him on the street. But this was worse somehow. This was blatant. Karen's face turned slightly red. "I'm just doing my job. We have to verify that tickets are legitimate." "You didn't spend this much time verifying anyone else's ticket," Marcus pointed out. "The two people in front of me were through in seconds." "That's different," Karen said quickly. "How is it different?" Karen did not answer. Instead, she picked up the phone at her desk. "I think I need to call my supervisor. Just to double-check everything." Marcus closed his eyes for a moment. He took a deep breath. He had been traveling all week. He was tired. He just wanted to get on his plane and go home to his wife and daughters. But here he was, being treated like a criminal for trying to board a flight he had paid for. Around them, more people had stopped to watch. Some looked uncomfortable. Others whispered to each other. A few took out their phones. Marcus saw sympathy in some faces and something else in others. Maybe they thought Karen was right to be suspicious. Maybe they saw a well-dressed black man in the first-class line and assumed he did not belong there. Karen spoke into her phone.
"Tom, can you come to gate 17?
"I have a situation here that needs your attention." She kept her eyes on Marcus as she talked, as if he might run away. Marcus stood very still. He put his hands in his pockets so no one could see them shaking. Not from fear, from anger, from the unfairness of it all. He had done nothing wrong. He had followed every rule. He had his ticket. He had his ID. He was dressed professionally. He was polite and calm. And still, here he was, being questioned and doubted simply for existing. The minutes ticked by. Other first-class passengers continued to board, walking around Marcus and Karen. They glanced at the scene but hurried past, not wanting to get involved. The regular boarding would start soon. Marcus's flight was going to leave, and he might not be on it. Finally, a man in a dark suit appeared. His badge said Tom Chen, Supervisor. He looked tired, like this was not his first problem of the day. "What's going on?" Tom asked Karen. Karen leaned close to him and whispered. Marcus could not hear exactly what she said, but he caught words like suspicious and verify and unusual. Tom looked at Marcus. Then at the boarding pass Karen handed him. Then back at Marcus. "Sir," Tom said, "I'm going to need to see your ID and your credit card used to purchase this ticket." Marcus felt something break inside him, but he kept his face neutral. He pulled out his wallet again and showed Tom everything he asked for. This was going to be a long day. Tom Chen looked at every document Marcus showed him. He checked the driver's license carefully. He looked at the credit card. He compared the names. Everything matched perfectly. Marcus Thompson. All the same name. But Tom did not look satisfied. He frowned and tapped the boarding pass against his hand. "Karen tells me there might be an issue with this ticket," Tom said. "There's no issue," Marcus replied. His voice stayed calm, but he felt his patience wearing thin. "I bought this ticket online 3 days ago. I checked in this morning. Everything is legitimate." Karen stood beside Tom with her arms crossed. She nodded as if Marcus had just proven her point. "That's what they all say," she muttered. Marcus heard her. So did several other people nearby. A woman in line behind him spoke up. "Excuse me, but this seems really unfair. You let everyone else through without any questions." Tom glanced at the woman, then back at Marcus. "Ma'am, please let us handle this." "Sir, I need to ask you some questions." "Go ahead," Marcus said. He checked his watch again. Boarding time was passing. Soon they would close the gate. "What's the purpose of your trip?" Tom asked. "I was at a business conference. Now I'm going home." "What kind of business?" Marcus paused. "Why does that matter?" "Just answer the question, please." "I work in aviation," Marcus said carefully. He was not ready to say more, not yet. He wanted to see how far this would go. "Aviation," Tom repeated. He wrote something on a notepad. "And what do you do in aviation?" I'd rather not discuss my employment. I don't see how it's relevant to boarding my flight. Karen jumped in.
If you have nothing to hide, why won't you answer?
Marcus turned to look at her directly. I have nothing to hide. But I also don't have to answer personal questions to board a plane I paid for. You're not TSA. You're not security. You're a gate agent and you're delaying my flight without cause. A few people in line clapped. Someone said, "That's right." Karen's face turned red again. Tom held up his hand. Everyone please calm down. Sir, I'm going to need to scan your ticket again. Karen, pull up his reservation on your computer. Karen turned to her keyboard and started typing. Tom took the boarding pass and scanned it again. The computer beeped the same way it had before. Marcus watched Tom's face. He saw confusion there. The system was showing that everything was fine. The ticket was real. The purchase was legitimate. There was no reason to delay him. But Tom did not say that. Instead, he said, "Your ticket shows you purchased it at a discounted rate. Can you explain that?" Marcus almost laughed. Almost. I used frequent flyer miles for part of the purchase. I'm a member of your loyalty program. I've been a member for 18 years. Is that a crime now? No, but what? But I don't look like someone who should have frequent flyer miles. But I don't look like someone who can afford first class. The words came out sharper than Marcus intended. Around them, the crowd had grown larger. More people had stopped to watch. Some filmed openly on their phones. Others tried to be subtle about it. Marcus saw anger on many faces. Good anger. Anger at the injustice happening right in front of them. A young black woman in business attire stepped forward. This is racial profiling. That's what this is. I've been standing here watching and you checked his documents 3 times while you didn't check anyone else's even once. Ma'am, please step back, Tom said. No, she said firmly. I'm a lawyer and what you're doing here could be a lawsuit. I suggest you let this man board his flight immediately. Tom looked uncomfortable now. He pulled Karen aside and they whispered together. Marcus could not hear what they said, but he saw Karen shaking her head. She pointed at her computer screen. She seemed to be insisting something was wrong. When Tom came back, he looked even more tired than before. Sir, I apologize for the delay, but Karen has raised some concerns about the validity of your ticket purchase. The price you paid seems unusually low, even with miles. I got a good deal, Marcus said flatly. Is that suspicious now? Should I have paid more to avoid looking suspicious? That's not what I'm saying. Then what are you saying? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're saying I don't belong in first class, that someone like me couldn't possibly afford it legitimately. Tom did not respond to that. Instead, he said, I'm going to need to call security to sort this out. Those words hit Marcus like cold water. Security. He had done nothing wrong. He had broken no laws. He had no weapons, no contraband. He just had a boarding pass and wanted to get on his plane. But now security was being called as if he were a threat. You're calling security on a paying passenger for what reason exactly? Marcus asked. His calm was cracking now. Tell me the specific policy I've violated. Tom shifted his weight. You're being uncooperative. I've shown you everything you asked for. I've answered your questions. How am I being uncooperative? More people voiced their agreement. He's right, someone called out. This is wrong, another person said. An elderly white man stepped forward. Young man, I've been flying for 40 years and I've never seen anyone treated like this. This is disgraceful. Karen looked at the growing crowd with alarm. Everyone needs to back up. This doesn't concern you. It concerns all of us, the young lawyer said. When you discriminate against one passenger, you show what this airline thinks of all of us. Tom pulled out his radio. Security to gate 17, please. Need assistance with a boarding issue. Marcus felt something heavy settle in his chest. This was really happening. He was about to be confronted by security guards in front of hundreds of people. His reputation could be damaged. His family would worry when they heard about it. All because he wanted to fly first class while being black. He thought about his daughters. They were 8 and 12 years old. What would he tell them about this? How would he explain that their father, who worked hard and followed all the rules, got treated like a criminal? What lesson would they learn about how the world saw them? 2 security guards appeared within minutes. They wore uniforms with badges and radios. One was a tall man with gray hair. The other was a younger woman with dark skin. Both looked alert but not aggressive. What's the situation? the male guard asked, Tom explained. Or rather, he gave his version. He said there were questions about Marcus's ticket validity. He said Marcus was being difficult and uncooperative. He made it sound like Marcus was the problem. Marcus stood very still while Tom talked. He kept his hands visible at his sides. He knew how these situations could go. He knew that any sudden movement could be misinterpreted. He had to be perfect, calm, non-threatening. It was exhausting. The female security guard looked at Marcus. Their eyes met. He saw something in her expression, recognition maybe, or sympathy. She had probably seen this before. Maybe she had experienced it herself. "Sir," she said gently, "can I see your boarding pass and ID?" Marcus handed them over. She looked at both carefully but quickly. Then she looked at Tom. Everything appears to be in order. What's the actual problem? Tom seemed surprised by the question. Well, Karen felt that the ticket purchase was suspicious. Based on what? The guard asked. Karen spoke up quickly. The price was too low, and he was evasive about answering questions. And he just doesn't seem like... She stopped herself. Doesn't seem like what? The female guard asked. Her voice was calm but firm. Karen did not finish her sentence. She knew how it would sound. The male guard looked at his partner, then at Marcus, then at Tom and Karen. So you're telling me you called security because this gentleman got a good deal on his ticket and you don't like how he looks? That's not, Tom started. Because that's what it sounds like, the guard continued. And that's not a security issue. That's discrimination. The crowd murmured approval. Someone clapped. Marcus felt a tiny bit of relief. At least the security guards were being reasonable. But Tom was not ready to back down. I have the right to deny boarding to any passenger if I feel there's a legitimate concern. What's the legitimate concern? The female guard asked. His ticket is valid. His ID matches. His credit card checks out. What exactly is concerning you? Tom looked at Karen. Karen looked at the floor. Neither of them had a good answer. Because there was no good answer. The only answer was one they could not say out loud in front of all these witnesses and cameras. The male guard turned to Marcus. Sir, I apologize for this delay. You're clear to board your flight. Relief washed over Marcus. Finally, someone with authority was being sensible. But Karen stepped forward. Wait, I'm the gate agent and I have the final say about who boards this aircraft. And I'm not comfortable letting him board until we verify everything completely. The terminal went quiet. Everyone stared at Karen. She had just challenged security. She had just refused a direct assessment. This was escalating beyond anything Marcus had expected. The female guard's expression hardened. Ma'am, on what grounds are you refusing this passenger? Karen lifted her chin. Safety concerns. What safety concerns? Marcus asked. His voice rose for the first time. I haven't threatened anyone. I haven't raised my voice until right now. I've been nothing but polite and patient while you've humiliated me in public. What exactly about me concerns you? But he knew. Everyone knew. They all understood what Karen meant by safety concerns. They all knew what code she was using. The announcement system crackled. Final boarding call for Flight 447 to Atlanta. Marcus reached into his jacket pocket. Everyone watched him. The security guards tensed slightly. Karen took a step back. Even Tom looked nervous. Marcus moved slowly and deliberately. He pulled out a leather wallet. But not the same wallet he had shown them before. This was a different one. Since you want to verify everything completely, Marcus said, his voice steady and clear, let me show you something else. He opened the wallet. Inside was an ID badge. Not a driver's license, not a credit card. An employee badge with his photo name and title. He held it up so everyone could see. The badge had the airline's logo at the top. Below that was Marcus's photo. And below that, in clear letters, it said, Captain Marcus Thompson, Senior Pilot. The effect was immediate. Karen's face went completely white. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Tom's eyes went wide with shock. He actually stumbled back a step. The security guards looked at each other, then at Marcus with new understanding. I'm a captain with this airline, Marcus said. His voice carried across the gate area. I've been flying for this company for 18 years. I have over 12,000 flight hours. I'm not just a passenger trying to board this plane. I'm a pilot who works for this airline. In fact, I'm scheduled to fly another plane out of this very terminal in about 3 hours. The silence that followed was deafening. You could have heard a pin drop in that crowded gate area. Everyone stared. Phones kept recording. This moment was being captured from a dozen different angles. Karen tried to speak. I didn't. You didn't ask what I did for a living, Marcus said. You asked why I could afford first class. You asked if my ticket was legitimate. You treated me like a criminal. At no point did you treat me like a human being deserving of basic respect. Tom stepped forward, his hands up in a placating gesture. Captain Thompson, I am so sorry. If you had known I was a pilot, you would have treated me differently? Marcus interrupted. But what about if I wasn't a pilot? What if I was a teacher or a plumber or a security guard? Would it have been okay to treat me this way then? Tom had no answer. His mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. Marcus continued. I shouldn't have to show you this badge to be treated with dignity. Every passenger deserves respect regardless of their job or their race. But since you insisted on verification, here it is. I'm Captain Marcus Thompson, and I've been flying people safely to their destinations since before Karen here was probably even hired. A gate agent from a nearby counter had heard the commotion and came over. Her name tag said Jennifer Martinez. When she saw Marcus, her face lit up with recognition. Captain Thompson, I thought that was you. How have you been? She approached him warmly, completely ignoring the tense situation. I haven't seen you in a few months. Are you flying out today? Hi, Jennifer, Marcus said, some of the tension leaving his voice. Yes, I'm supposed to be flying to Atlanta now, and then I'm taking Flight 292 to Denver at 6. Jennifer looked confused. What's going on here? Why aren't you on board yet? Then she noticed Karen and Tom's expressions. She saw the security guards. She saw the crowd of people watching. Understanding dawned on her face. Oh no, Jennifer said quietly. Don't tell me. Karen, did you seriously not recognize Captain Thompson? Karen still could not form words. She looked like she wanted to disappear into the floor. Another voice came from down the corridor. Marcus, is that you? A man in a pilot's uniform walked toward them. His name tag identified him as Captain Robert Chen. He was Asian American with streaks of gray in his dark hair. He smiled broadly at Marcus. Robert, Marcus greeted him, though his voice was tired now. The anger was fading into exhaustion. Robert reached them and extended his hand. Marcus shook it. I'm flying to Boston in an hour, Robert said. Haven't seen you since the safety training last month. How's the family? They're good, Marcus said. Robert finally seemed to notice the situation. He saw Karen's pale face, Tom's obvious distress, the security guards, the crowd of onlookers with their phones out. What's going on? Your colleague here was being denied boarding, the female security guard explained. The gate agent claimed his ticket was suspicious and called us in. Robert's smile vanished. He looked at Marcus, then at Karen, then back at Marcus. Are you serious? They gave you trouble? You've been flying for this airline for, 18 years? 18 years, Marcus confirmed. This is insane, Robert said, his voice rising. Marcus is one of our best pilots. He's trained half the captains flying today. He's received multiple safety commendations, and they treated him like he could not even finish the sentence. More airline employees were gathering now. Word was spreading through the terminal. A flight attendant Marcus had flown with before came over to see what was happening. Then another pilot, then a customer service supervisor. All of them recognized Marcus. All of them greeted him respectfully. All of them looked shocked and appalled when they learned what had happened. The contrast was stark. Here was Marcus being welcomed and respected by people who knew him, while Karen and Tom stood there looking smaller and smaller. Karen finally found her voice. I'm so sorry, Captain Thompson. This was all a huge misunderstanding. I was just trying to do my job. We have to check tickets carefully, and I didn't realize. You didn't realize I was a pilot, Marcus finished for her. But that's not the point, is it? The point is that you saw a black man in the first-class line and immediately assumed I didn't belong there. You questioned my ticket in a way you didn't question anyone else's. You called your supervisor. You called security. You accused me of being suspicious, all because of how I look. I never said anything about race, Karen protested weakly. You didn't have to, Marcus said. Your action said it all. The elderly white man who had spoken up earlier stepped forward again. Young man, I've been standing here for 20 minutes watching this unfold. I'm a retired federal judge, and what I witnessed was clear discrimination. I'll gladly serve as a witness if you choose to file a complaint. So will I, said the young black lawyer. And me, said another passenger. I recorded the whole thing, said the young man with his phone. I'll send you the video if you want it. More voices joined in. A woman offered to write a statement. A business traveler said he would contact the airline's corporate office. The support was overwhelming. These strangers who had watched Marcus be humiliated were now standing with him. Tom tried to salvage the situation. Captain Thompson, please accept my deepest apologies. This should never have happened. Karen made an error in judgment, and I should have handled it better. Please board your flight. We'll comp your ticket for today and give you additional miles for the inconvenience. Marcus looked at him coldly. You think miles make up for this? You think a free ticket erases being treated like a criminal in front of hundreds of people? No, of course not. I want to know what happens to Karen, Marcus said firmly. Because if this happened to me, a captain with this airline, how many other passengers has she treated this way? How many people who don't have a badge to show her? How many people who couldn't defend themselves the way I could? Jennifer, the friendly gate agent, spoke up quietly. Captain Thompson, I hate to say this, but this isn't the first complaint about Karen. There have been other incidents. They were just never this public. Karen's face went from white to red. That's not true. You questioned that elderly Indian couple last month, Jennifer said. You made them prove they could afford their tickets. And before that, there was the young Hispanic woman you accused of carrying too much cash. Security had to tell you there's no law against carrying cash. Tom looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. We'll do a full investigation, he said quickly. Karen will be suspended pending the outcome. Suspended? The retired judge said sharply. This woman should be terminated. What we all witnessed was blatant discrimination. If that video goes public, which I suspect it will, your airline will face serious consequences unless you handle this properly. The announcement system crackled again. Flight 447 to Atlanta, the aircraft door is now closing. This is the final call. Marcus felt a wave of frustration. His flight. He was going to miss his flight because of this nonsense. After everything, he would not even get home today. But Jennifer was already on her radio. Hold the door for Flight 447. We have a passenger who needs to board. Captain Thompson. Roger that, came the reply. We'll hold for the captain. Jennifer smiled at Marcus. They'll wait for you. Go ahead and board. Marcus looked at his boarding pass still in his hand after all this time. He looked at the gate entrance. He could walk through right now. He could get on that plane, sit in his first-class seat and fly home. Part of him wanted to do exactly that. To leave this mess behind and forget it ever happened. But another part of him knew he could not. This was bigger than him. This was about every person of color who had been profiled, questioned, and humiliated. This was about making sure it did not happen again. I'll board, Marcus said. But first I want to make something clear. I will be filing a formal complaint. I will be speaking to corporate management. And I expect real changes, not just empty apologies. Tom nodded quickly. Absolutely. We'll set up a meeting as soon as possible. The plane touched down in Atlanta 2 hours later. Marcus gathered his bag and walked through the familiar airport. People rushed past him in every direction, just like at O'Hare. But everything felt different now. He felt different. His phone had been buzzing throughout the flight. He had turned it to airplane mode, but now as he switched it back on, notifications flooded in. Text messages, emails, missed calls. Something was happening. The first text was from Robert, the pilot he had seen at O'Hare. Marcus, the video is going viral. It's everywhere. Call me when you land. Marcus's heart sank. He opened his social media apps. There it was. The video of him being questioned by Karen. Multiple people had posted it. The young man who recorded it had uploaded it with the caption, Airline gate agent racially profiles black passenger. Watch until the end when she finds out he's a captain for the airline. The video had been viewed hundreds of thousands of times already, and it had only been posted 2 hours ago. The comment section was exploding. People were outraged. They were tagging the airline. They were sharing it over and over. The hashtag #gate agent was trending. Marcus found a quiet corner of the airport and sat down. He watched the video himself. Seeing it from an outside perspective made it somehow worse. He could see the way Karen looked at him. He could hear the condescension in her voice. He could see his own patience and dignity in the face of disrespect. And yes, he could see the moment when he showed his captain's badge and Karen's face went white with shock. The comments were overwhelming. Thousands of people were on his side. This is disgusting. That agent should be fired immediately. I've experienced this exact thing. Thank you for standing up. Captain Thompson handled this with such grace, I would have lost my temper. This is why we need better training. This is systematic racism. I'm never flying this airline again until they make this right. But there were also some negative comments. They were fewer, but they stung nonetheless. He's playing the race card. Maybe his ticket really did look suspicious. Why did he wait so long to show his badge? He was trying to cause drama. Everyone is too sensitive these days. The agent was just doing her job. Marcus felt anger rise in his chest again. Playing the race card, he had shown every document requested. He had answered every question. He had done nothing to cause drama. The drama was caused by someone who could not accept that he belonged in first class. His phone rang. It was a number he recognized. The airline's corporate office, Captain Thompson. This is Linda Morrison. I'm the Vice President of Customer Relations for the airline. I'm calling to personally apologize for what happened to you today. Marcus took a deep breath. Thank you for calling. We've seen the video. We've spoken to the gate supervisor, security personnel, and several witnesses. What happened to you was completely unacceptable. It goes against everything our airline stands for. Does it? Marcus asked. Because according to another gate agent who was there, Karen has done this before. To other passengers. So clearly the airline has been accepting it. There was a pause. You're absolutely right, and I apologize for that as well. We should have addressed previous complaints more seriously. That's changing immediately. Karen Whitley has been terminated. Not suspended, terminated, effective immediately. Marcus felt a mix of emotions. Relief that she would not do this to anyone else. But also no satisfaction in someone losing their job, even someone who had treated him so poorly. Linda continued. We're also launching a full review of our gate agents and customer service staff. Mandatory anti-discrimination training for everyone. New protocols for handling complaints. And we're establishing a passenger advocacy office that reports directly to me. That's a good start, Marcus said. We'd like to meet with you in person. Hear your input on what other changes we should make. You've been with us for 18 years. You know this airline. We need your voice in this conversation. I'll consider it, Marcus said. Right now I just want to go home to my family. Of course. One more thing. The media is asking for your contact information. Networks, newspapers, online outlets. We haven't given anyone your number, but they're persistent. How would you like us to handle media inquiries? Marcus had not thought about that. The media, interviews, his story being discussed on news programs and talk shows. Part of him wanted to hide from it all. But another part knew this was an opportunity. A chance to speak about something that happened too often to too many people. Tell them I'll release a statement soon, Marcus said. Give me a day or two. Absolutely. And Captain Thompson? I'm truly sorry. You deserved better. After the call ended, Marcus sat there for a few more minutes. The airport moved around him. Families reunited. Business travelers rushed to their next flights. Life continued as normal for everyone else while his world had turned upside down. His phone buzzed again. This time it was his wife, Vanessa. He had texted her during the flight to let her know he was okay and would explain everything when he got home. But clearly she had seen the video. Marcus, oh my God, I saw it. Are you okay? I'm so angry I can't even think straight. I'm okay. He typed back. Tired, I'll be home in an hour. Are the girls okay? They don't know yet. They're at school. We need to talk about how to tell them. Marcus felt his chest tighten. His daughters. Kayla was 12 and Maya was 8. How would he explain this to them? Maya still believed the world was mostly good and fair. Kayla was starting to understand that it was not, but this would be a hard lesson. He called for a rideshare and headed outside. The Atlanta afternoon was warm and humid. The sun felt good on his face. Normal things. Real things. He focused on those. During the drive home, he got a call from his pilot's union representative. They wanted to support him however they could. They were considering filing a grievance on his behalf, claiming that the airline had created a hostile work environment by allowing discrimination. Marcus thanked them and said he would think about it. Then his phone rang again. And again. News reporters had somehow gotten his number. He ignored the calls. When he finally pulled up to his house, Vanessa was waiting at the door. She ran to him and wrapped her arms around him tight. She did not say anything at first. She just held him. After a moment, Marcus felt tears on his cheeks. He was not sure if they were his or hers. "I'm so sorry that happened to you," Vanessa said when they finally pulled apart. "I'm so angry. That woman, the supervisor, the whole system. How dare they treat you that way?" "It's over now," Marcus said, though he knew it was not really over. They went inside. The house smelled like coffee and the vanilla candle Vanessa liked. Everything was exactly as he had left it 3 days ago, but somehow it all felt different. They sat at the kitchen table and Marcus told her everything. Every detail. Every moment of humiliation and anger. Vanessa listened, her hand gripping his. Sometimes she interrupted with gasps of disbelief or muttered curses. Other times tears rolled down her face. "The girls need to know," she said when he finished. "They'll see it online or hear about it at school. Better it comes from us," Marcus nodded. He had known this was coming. When Kayla and Maya got home from school, Marcus and Vanessa sat them down in the living room. Maya bounced on the couch, happy to see her dad home. Kayla was more subdued. She had her phone in her hand. She had probably already seen something. "Girls, I need to talk to you about something that happened today," Marcus began.
He tried to keep his voice calm and even. He told them a simplified version of the story.
He explained that sometimes people make judgments about others based on how they look, rather than who they are. He told them that a gate agent treated him unfairly because of his skin color. Maya's face scrunched up in confusion. "But that's wrong. Miss Johnson says we should treat everyone equally." "Miss Johnson is right," Marcus said, "but not everyone follows that rule." "Did you get in trouble?" Maya asked, her voice small and worried. "No, baby. I didn't do anything wrong. The gate agent is the one who got in trouble." Kayla spoke for the first time. "I saw the video, Dad. It's all over TikTok and Instagram. Everyone at school was talking about it." Her voice cracked. They were saying mean things. Some kids were making jokes, and I didn't know what to say. Marcus's heart broke. This was what he had feared. His daughters being affected by his humiliation. "What kind of jokes?" he asked gently. Kayla looked down at her hands. "Stupid stuff. About how you probably couldn't really afford first class. About how you must have been causing trouble. Some kids said the video was taken out of context and you were probably lying." Vanessa's jaw clenched. "Who said these things?" Kayla shrugged. "Different kids. Not everyone. Some people defended you, but it was just a lot." Marcus moved to sit next to Kayla on the couch. He put his arm around her shoulders. "I'm sorry you had to hear those things. None of them are true, but this is something you need to understand about the world. Some people will judge you before they know you. They'll make assumptions about you based on your skin color. It's not fair, but it's real." "Why, though?" Maya asked. "Why do people do that?" It was the question every parent of a black child had to answer eventually. Marcus took a moment to find the right words. Fear, ignorance, and prejudice. Some people were taught wrong things by their parents. Some people don't want to believe we're equal. 3 days later, Marcus sat in a television studio preparing for his first major interview. The makeup artist dabbed powder on his face while he reviewed his notes. Across from him sat the interviewer, Maria Chen, a respected journalist known for her thoughtful approach to difficult topics. The video had exploded beyond anything Marcus had imagined. Over 10 million views across all platforms. It had been shared by celebrities, politicians, and activists. The hashtag #TerJusticeForCaptain Thompson was trending worldwide. Other people had started sharing their own stories of discrimination while traveling. The conversation had grown into something much bigger than one incident at one gate. "We're live in 30 seconds, a producer called out. Marcus took a deep breath. Vanessa sat just off camera, giving him an encouraging smile. She had insisted on coming with him today. The lights brightened. Maria turned to the camera with a professional smile. "Good evening. Tonight we're discussing an incident that has sparked a national conversation about racial profiling in air travel. With me is Captain Marcus Thompson, an 18-year airline pilot who was recently prevented from boarding his own airline's flight by a gate agent who questioned whether he belonged in first class. Captain Thompson, thank you for joining us." "Thank you for having me," Marcus said. "Let's start with what happened that day. Can you walk us through the incident?" Marcus recounted the story. He kept his tone measured and factual. He described Karen's treatment, Tom's failure to intervene appropriately, and the moment he revealed his captain's badge. Maria listened intently, occasionally asking clarifying questions. When you showed your badge and the gate agent realized who you were, what was going through your mind? Marcus paused. Honestly, I felt a mix of satisfaction and sadness. Satisfaction that I could prove her assumptions wrong, but sadness that I needed to prove anything at all. Because here's the thing. What if I wasn't a pilot? What if I was a teacher who had saved up for a first-class ticket? Or a small business owner? Or someone who just got lucky with a good deal? Would it have been okay to treat me that way then? You're saying that your profession shouldn't matter? Exactly. Every passenger deserves dignity and respect, regardless of their job or their race. I shouldn't need a captain's badge to be treated like a human being. Maria nodded. The airline has terminated the gate agent and implemented new training programs. Is that enough? It's a start, Marcus said carefully. But terminating one person doesn't fix a systemic problem. Since my video went viral, hundreds of people have reached out to me with similar stories. Black passengers being questioned about their tickets, Latino families being assumed to be in the wrong section, Muslim travelers facing extra scrutiny. This isn't about one bad gate agent. This is about patterns of bias that exist throughout the travel industry. What needs to change? Real accountability. Better training that goes beyond a one-day seminar. Hiring practices that prioritize diversity. Clear protocols for passengers to report discrimination without fear of retaliation. And most importantly, leadership that takes these issues seriously from the top down, not just when a video goes viral. The interview continued for 20 minutes. Marcus spoke about his experience with care and clarity. He acknowledged that most airline employees were professional and respectful, but he also did not shy away from calling out the systemic issues that allowed incidents like his to happen. When the interview ended and the cameras turned off, Maria thanked him. That was powerful. Your message is important. I just hope it makes a difference, Marcus said. Over the next week, Marcus's life became a whirlwind. More interviews, a meeting with airline executives, calls from civil rights organizations asking him to speak at events. His statement had been read by millions. His social media following had grown from a few hundred to over 250,000 people. The airline had moved quickly to show they were taking action. They established the Passenger Dignity Program, a comprehensive initiative to address discrimination. They hired diversity consultants. They updated their training materials. They created an independent review board to handle discrimination complaints. Linda Morrison personally oversaw the implementation, and she kept Marcus informed every step of the way. We want your input on all of this, she told him during one of their many phone calls. You've lived this experience. Your perspective is invaluable. Marcus agreed to serve as an advisor to the program. He attended meetings with the training developers. He reviewed proposed policies. He shared his insights on what would actually make a difference versus what was just for show. But not everyone was supportive. Marcus received hate mail and angry messages. Some people accused him of trying to get rich from the incident. Others claimed he was race-baiting or playing the victim. The airline's stock took a temporary hit, and some shareholders blamed Marcus for speaking out. There were also threats. Disturbing messages promising violence. The police got involved. Marcus had to be more careful about his family's safety. Vanessa worried constantly. The girls had to deal with both support and harassment at school. One evening, Kayla came home in tears. Dad, I got into a fight today. Marcus's protective instincts kicked in immediately. What happened? Are you okay? I'm fine. But this boy, Tyler, he said you were just trying to get attention. He said you probably were being difficult with the gate agent. So I told him he was wrong and didn't know what he was talking about. And then he said something really mean about our family. Kayla's voice broke, so I pushed him. Marcus sat down heavily. This was what he had feared. His daughter's suffering because of what happened to him. Did you get in trouble? The principal called me to his office. Tyler got in trouble too for what he said. But Dad, I'm tired of people judging us. I'm tired of having to defend you when you didn't do anything wrong. Marcus pulled his daughter into a hug. I know, baby. I'm sorry you're going through this. Maybe I should have just let it go. Maybe I shouldn't have spoken out. No, Kayla said firmly, pulling back to look at him. You did the right thing. Miss Johnson, my history teacher. She talked about it in class. She said what you did was brave. She said speaking up about injustice is how things change, and most of the kids agreed with her. It's just a few people like Tyler who are being stupid. Marcus felt pride swell in his chest. His daughter was developing her own sense of justice and courage. 2 weeks after the incident, Marcus returned to work. He had to fly his scheduled routes. Life had to continue. As he walked through the airport in his pilot's uniform, he noticed something different. People recognized him. Some smiled and nodded. Others approached to shake his hand and thank him for speaking out. A young black man in a business suit stopped him near the security checkpoint. "Captain Thompson?" "I just wanted to say thank you. What you did mattered. I fly a lot for work, and I've been questioned about my tickets too. It's happened at least a dozen times. I always just accepted it as normal, but you showed me it's not normal and it's not okay. Thank you for telling me that," Marcus said. "That's why I spoke up. For people like you." His crew members for that day's flight greeted him warmly. They had all seen the video. The flight attendants told him how proud they were to work with him. The first officer, a younger white pilot named Jake, said, "Sir, I just want you to know that what happened to you was wrong. I'm sorry you had to experience that." "I appreciate that, Jake." The flight went smoothly. Marcus focused on his job, on the technical aspects of flying that had always brought him peace. Up in the air, thousands of feet above the ground, the problems of the world felt smaller somehow. But when they landed and he walked through the terminal, he saw evidence of change. New posters on the walls about passenger dignity, gate agents wearing new badges that said "Respect every traveler," training materials visible at empty gates. Small changes, but changes nonetheless. A month after the incident, the airline held a press conference to announce their new initiatives. Marcus stood beside Linda Morrison as she detailed the comprehensive changes being implemented. Mandatory quarterly training for all staff, a new hotline for reporting discrimination, partnership with civil rights organizations, increased hiring of diverse staff at all levels. None of this would have happened without Captain Thompson's courage in speaking out, Linda said. He could have simply accepted our initial apology and moved on. Instead, he used his experience to push for real change. Our airline is better because of him, and we're committed to ensuring that no passenger ever faces what he faced again. After the press conference, journalists surrounded Marcus. He answered their questions patiently, always bringing the conversation back to the bigger picture. This was not about him. This was about creating a better, fairer system for everyone. That evening, Marcus appeared on a panel discussion about racial profiling with other activists and experts. He spoke about his experience but also listened and learned. He heard stories from people who had faced far worse than he had. People who had been arrested for doing nothing wrong. People who had lost opportunities because of discrimination. His incident was just one small piece of a much larger problem. "What gives you hope?" another panelist asked him. Marcus thought about it. The response from ordinary people. The passengers who stood up for me that day.